Well, I hope you're getting out for a fish this weekend or over the weekend. We've got some absolutely epic weather, and unfortunately for me, I am stuck in the shop and I'm not going to be fishing. So everybody's been coming in all week, stocking up on bait, stocking up on lures, and going fishing because the weather's just unreal. And well, I haven't got a boat, so I'm stuck here working. But today, guys, we're just going to do another in-store video. We've had a few more new products come in, and one thing that we've been really looking forward to getting in is the new Daiwa Bait Junkie heads, and that's what we're going to start off on because we've been eagerly awaiting these things to come in since they were announced. They're actually supposed to come in around December, but got pushed back a little bit, and they're finally just arrived now. And I got to say, if you're watching some of my brim content, I was using the brim jig heads, and they've got to be some of the best jig heads that I've used. The hook keeper holds the plastic on the hook really well. The hook is very sharp, and one thing I noticed, I got snagged a few times with this jig head, and sometimes with other jig heads, the hook, like the hook point will roll if you get snagged. Didn't happen with these heads. I've only used them for a couple of days, but I definitely noticed that I didn't have that problem. But the biggest thing that I like as well, one of the big things that I like about these jig heads, is just the packaging that they come in. So it just makes so much sense. Like, I can't believe that I can't believe it's this long, taken this long for a company to come up with the idea that just makes sense of storage. So, you know, you look at some of the other brands and they come in this clamshell packaging, and once the packaging's open, you pretty much, like, you have to take the jig heads out because you can't keep it in the clamshell, because it all, like, if you're a fisherman, you know what I'm talking, and you fish with soft plastics, you know what I'm talking about. It's an absolute pain in the neck. So the best thing these guys have done is, yeah, Ziploc bags. So if you like to keep your jig heads in the actual packaging that they come in, like I do, then this is a really good new initiative from Daiwa. So I'll just set this camera up and then we'll take a bit more of a look at them. So I'm just going to show you quickly, just before I set that camera up, but there's a complete range of jig heads there. So pretty much covers every application that you would need a jig head. There is a jig head all the way from 1/30th to, they go up to a 2 ounce. So complete range of jig heads there for you to choose from. And first of all that we're going to look at, which for me and a lot of the fishing that I've been doing lately, is the Finesse heads. Now these are specifically designed for guys that are tournament fishing, light tackle fishing, brimming, that kind of stuff. So what they are is a finesse wire. So if you can see here, oh, there's some focus. So it's an ultra finesse fine wire jig head. So perfect for fishing with like 4-6 pound braid, light tackle brim fishing. The tournament guys are really gonna like these jig heads. And the best thing about them, as you can see, is the hook keeper. Now, when I fished with this hook keeper, the thing that I noticed, the thing that I hate the most when I'm brim fishing, and I always used to keep a little bit of a little tube of super glue in my tackle bag, was you always had to glue the plastic on so it never fell off the hook. But what I noticed with this jig head was that I fished with it for a couple of days, and there was like a handful of times that my plastic actually fell off the keeper. So I didn't have to apply any glue, I didn't have to apply nothing. I just put the plastic on the hook as usual, and it stayed on the hook. And if you can see from this head, you've got two little kind of hook, and then we got focus. We've got two little hooks at the top of the keeper and then a hook at the back of the keeper, and it just did a really good job of holding the plastic on the hook. So that's the Finesse heads. They come in a whole heap of different ranges. There we go. They come in a whole heap of different sizes and different weights, but ideally suited for the light tackle, finesse, brimming, trout fishing, any of that ultralight stuff. And then moving on to they call it a 2 times or a heavy gauge wire. There's a whole stack. Now the brim heads, I'm just going to stay on the brim heads for 1 second because they still do the brim heads or the real smaller sizes in the 2x wire. So if you find that you're fishing like heavy structure and you really need to pull the fish out, then you can actually go up to the heavier gauge head for your light tackle brimming, and they'll work really well. But as I said, there's a whole range there to choose from, and you know, they pretty much have a hook there to suit every single soft plastic that you're using. I'm just going to rip these out quickly. So this is one of the larger hooks, if you can see that here. Now they're all built on a BKK, good quality, strong hook. They've got you try and bend these hooks and they've got a little bit of movement to them, but they're a very strong hook. And one thing that I like about these BKKs, which it's going to be a little bit hard for you to tell in this video, but when you pick them up and you actually have a feel of them, they have this coating over them, and it's called a, I think they call it a, what is it, a sack, SAQ-SAS, I don't even know how to say that, sack-sass, plating technology they call it. So what it is the hook is actually, it's going to be hard to see in this video, but the hook it's ultra, it's quite slippery. It's a very slippery coating. So when you hook a fish, it's going to be quite easy to actually, you know, set the hooks. But the best thing that I love about it is just how anti-rust it is, or anti-corrosion resistance that this coating has. And that's one thing that I have noticed when I've used these hooks, is they don't rust up as quickly as some of the other jig heads that I've used. They do last, and I'm generally one of those people that I kind of tend to, once I use a jig head, I won't use it again the next session. I'll just grab a new one. But I did notice with these, because I kept them on my rod after a couple of sessions, that they didn't rust up anywhere near as much. Actually didn't rust up at all. And I would probably use that jig head again. So that's a bonus for the guys that, you know, are still continually using the same jig head multiple sessions. Overall, the finish of the jig head is really good. What you can see is they have this little dimple on the top. So can we see that there? Autofocus. So you have this little flat dimple on the top of the jig head. So generally, a lot of the soft plastics that we use nowadays, that stretchy material that they call it Lastec or TPE or whatever that material is that they make them out of, and normally that material floats. So the majority of them all float. So what they have with this jig head is the little indentation on the top of the jig head there. So your plastic's going to be pulling your head up like this, and that's just going to sit perfectly on the bottom like that. I mean, obviously it depends on what plastic that you're using, but again, that's just another little feature of this jig head. They're extremely well priced. The whole range is $10.99, which I think is pretty good value. And obviously, depending on the size of the jig head that you get as to how many's in a packet, but you know, the smaller ones come with 6 pieces in a packet. The larger ones, like this one here, this is an 8/0 1 ounce. This comes with 3 in a packet. So they're very well priced jig heads, and I think, guys, if you just want to try something new and you do a lot of soft plastic fishing, I think once you switch to these, well, put it this way, I've used them and this is the only jig head I'm buying going forward. So anyway, that's the Daiwa Bait Junkie jig heads. Complete range there. You can check them all out on our website. We've got the whole range on there as well. But get onto these guys, because I think if, like I said, if you're doing any soft plastic fishing, I think you're really going to enjoy these. So let's move on to the next product. Now, the one thing that I almost forgot, but I was meant to show you, is Daiwa also do a jig head box for these Bait Junkie heads, and it's called a D Box. Pull this off, and it's specifically for storing jig heads, and it's actually a really good idea. So I'll just set this camera up. There we go. So it's just a normal tackle tray. It's got 4 little clips on each side, and there we go. That holds the jig head. So it's actually a really good idea. So if you get your Bait Junkie heads, so we've got these here, and it's just a matter of inserting the jig head, and you can keep it like that. So You can store, especially if you're using the small jig heads, you can store an absolute pile of jig heads in these, but really handy storage solution. And you know, if you're one of those guys that doesn't like keeping his heads in the packet, then mate, check this out. Like honestly, they're $49.99, really good investment for storing your gear. And this one is, so that there's about, I don't know, 10 different boxes, but this one is the LSU. So if you're looking on our website, I'll link it in the description below, but the LSU D Box. So check this one out, guys, if you want some jig head storage solution. The next thing that we've just had a bit of a restock on, and it's kind of some of my favorite restocks, is Zenaq Rods. And we've just had another top up with a couple of models that have been pretty popular. They've just come back into stock. So firstly, I'm going to show you the Muthos Akura Double H. Now we've just got stock of the RG model Double H. Now what this one has is a reverse guide system, so you can see the stripper guide is this funky RG guide, they call it, from Fuji. So it's a reverse guide that gives you better casting, less wind knots and less wraps around your guides. But what this RG guide features on the tip section of the rod is a whole stack of guides. So if you actually take a good look at this rod, you'll probably see, shit, there's a lot of bloody guides on this, but they actually build it like this for a reason. And on the tip, which you can see here, there's actually a guide very close to the tip. Now, the whole idea behind this is so that when you're casting, your line stays a lot straighter. It chokes your line so that your line is very straight and ultimately gives you a better cast. Now, the Akura range of, well, Muthos Akura range of rods, really popular for guys that are going to steep point and spinning off the rocks for mackerel. They do a 100H that's really good for bonito fishing. You could even use it for real big tailor fishing. But as with all Zenaq rods, absolute top quality. The build is exceptional. You look at all the bindings on the rods, and it's just, they're perfection. So they're all handmade in Japan. So these rods they're not always readily available. We do have to buy them in batches, but you know, we do have stock at the moment. And you know, if you're looking at treating yourself to a high-end casting rod, that might be one worth looking at. There's also a new model in the Muthos range, and this thing here is going to be really good for tailor fishing, for guys that like to throw slightly larger lures for tailor with 30-pound braid. This is the Sonio 93M. Now they rate this PE1 to PE3, but really when you feel the rod, I think it's a pure PE3 rod. It's going to match really well with about a 6,000 size reel. Spinning for tailor, this tailor salmon, this rod here is going to be absolutely perfect for it. It really, I think it's really going to be epic for land-based fishing up at like Exmouth. If you're fishing for queenfish, golden trevally, those types of things, gold spot trevally from the shore. This 93 Sonio, it's really going to be a good option to check out. It does feature the RG guide system again, so you can see it's got all those extra guides on it. But these are a real, when you pick this up, if you do any shore-based fishing or land-based fishing, I think you'll really like this rod. I don't even do any land-based, well, I don't do much land-based fishing myself, and I want to buy one. It just feels so bloody nice in the hand. But that's the Sonio M. We've just got another batch of these come in. Check these ones out, because yeah, they are quite nice. And I'm just going to grab a couple more models that we've just got back in that are quite popular and show you them too. So the two most popular ones that we sell are generally for boat fishing, and if you're familiar with Zenaq at all, I'm sure you'll know these two models, but it's the Fokeeto Twitch, the 73-3. This is a PE3 to 4 boat casting rod. Suits up perfectly with a 5 or a 6,000 Saltiga size reel. Absolutely top quality finish. I've actually used this a lot in quite a number of my previous fishing videos. At the Fads, I use it a lot at the Fads. I use this rod a lot up north at the Monties just for my light tackle casting, and it's just so versatile. It just does so much. Top quality finish, as all Zenaqs are. This will cast up to about, I think it's 60 grams. Oh, they rate it to 80 grams, but 80 grams is maybe a little bit heavy. 60 grams I find is probably the sweet spot for this rod. But Fokeeto Twitch 73s, they are available again. And then we also got the lighter model, which is a PE2 to PE3 rod, and that's the Fokeeto 78-2. Now this is a PE2 to 3 long cast, and this one, I've actually got this rod as well. I've got both of them. I just couldn't help myself, but this one I use a lot. It's a really good local rod because you can kind of still catch tailor with the rod. It is a little bit heavy for them, but it's that kind of crossover rod. Very nice action, casts extremely well because it's 7'8" long, and again, same kind of finish, top quality finish. Matches really well with a 4, 5, 6,000 Sol Tiger size reel, and yeah, a real nice just boat casting rod that you can do a bit of everything with. So anyway guys, we've had a restock. There's more Zenaq models there that have come back into stock too. We've got a pretty full rack at the moment, but if you want the best rods that money can buy, get onto Zenaq. You definitely will not be disappointed with one of these rods. So I'm obviously at the Osborne Park store today, but Beckingham has had, we'll zoom out, here we go. Beckingham has had the same restock as well, and we've just, we got absolutely smashed over Christmas period on our Yeti stuff. Like it was crazy how much Yeti actually went out the door, and we'd had a lot of people in the past couple of weeks just coming in trying to get some things, but unfortunately we got smashed. But we've had a massive restock of our Yeti, so there's absolutely stacks there. There's not everything there. We're still waiting on a couple of items because Yeti are actually out of stock on some of the items, but a lot of it has been restocked. So we do have some of the old Colsters back in stock. Everybody's been asking for the old ones, so we do have a few of those. We got stacks of bottles. There's hoppers, lunch bags. We got some really epic buckets. So this will be the most expensive bucket that you've ever bought, and I said to myself I was never going to buy one, and then I went out on a boat fishing with somebody, and they had one on their boat, and I had to buy one for myself. And it's actually the best bucket that you'll ever use or ever buy. And you can buy all these accessories. They call this the little, I think it's a caddy, I think they call it. It's got a little insert for it as well. And they do have a lid as well, but we've got these killer seafoam buckets in. I think they look pretty nifty, but yeah, we've got absolutely stacks of Yeti back in store, guys. I'll show you this bag quickly as well, because this thing looks really good. We've got the Panga in the tan, and then we got the standard color Panga. I really like the look of that tan one. I think that's quite a nice one. But I won't bore you too much with the Yeti stuff, but both stores have had an absolute mega restock of the stuff. So if you're chasing Yeti in Perth, guys, come and see our display. It's, they're both pretty impressive. Now moving on to line. This is I don't think we had this in the last video. I can't actually remember, but we have been getting an ask for this stuff for quite a while, and we've held off from putting it in just because we didn't have a lot of space. And if you've been into the stores, we're limited on how much space we have on the shelves, but we made a little bit of room, and we've gone ahead and put it in. And I'm sure there's plenty of guys now that are going to be happy about this, but we have Tasline now in stock. So obviously it's an Australian made braid, so you got to support an Aussie company, and they've just, it is a really good quality line. So it's pretty affordable for the quality of the line and the meterage that you get per spool. So we finally have a whole heap of Tasline in stock. We do have it from £8 all the way up to, it goes up to £100. There's 150 meter spools, there's 400 meter spools, there's 1,000 meter spools, and we'll actually be increasing our range and what meterage ones that we stock going forward. But this is our initial order of Tasline, and I think we've covered most bases with what people want. But yeah, really good quality line. I'm just going to rip this out of the packaging just to show you if you haven't seen it before. But it's a white line. The good thing about Tasline, and I notice this when I spool reels, is because it's a slightly flatter braid, you actually fit more on your reel, so it packs onto a spool really nice. And you can actually, like some reels, they might say they hold 300 meters of PE3, well you might fit 350 or 360 meters of PE3 Tasline on a spool. So just because of the way that it actually lays and lays real tight and flat on the spool. So Tasline, nice white color, easy to see. That's all in stock. It's all on our website as well, so if you want to order it off our website, then you can do that, or you can bring your reel in and we'll actually spool it onto your reel. That's no charge, we just do that every day, and we'll do it properly for you. Now, the last thing for this video before I have to go and open the store, because it's 8:30 now, double clutch 60s we've just had a restock of. We're still waiting for more stock of 75s to come in, and more range of 95s to come in, but the 60s we've had a good restock. And the thing with all these light tackle lures, well generally most lures as well, that you need to remember is we keep the whole color range in stock. If it's available, we stock it. So we've got the whole range of Daiwa double clutches, every single color. You can check them out in store or on our website, but they have just been restocked. And these things here, these double clutches, this is a red one, but that's a very popular one, but the double clutch is probably the #1 flathead lure I reckon going at the moment. They get absolutely destroyed, and we're having one of the best flathead seasons we've ever had in the Swan and the Canning rivers at the moment. So if you're going to do any river fishing, go and buy yourself some double clutches, get out on the river, go and have a crack, because like I said, it's the flathead, our casual Nick Little Bacon, he went out the other day for a shore-based fish, and he caught, I think he went for about 4 hours and caught 56, catched and released, caught 56 flathead. And this is all shore-based fishing up in the Swan River, so it's a really good season at the moment. So guys, get yourself a double clutch and get out on the river, go and have a crack, have a bit of fun, and catch some fish. Anyway guys, that's all we have time for this week. I don't want to drag this video out too long, but I hope you're getting out for a fish, and I hope you're getting out on the water. We've got some really good weather over the next couple of days, and hopefully in the next couple of weeks we get some really good weather as well. But if I don't see you in store, I'll see you out on the water, and thanks again for tuning in guys. I'll see you later.